She,
Yaninator arrives in 1855 Western Frontier America from 2035, a developing America, but no nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence, and no war. Her survival bag contains some essential technology. Yaninator gets her revolver for self-defense on the western frontier as she heads towards the nearest town for a horse and carriage for her journey west. She has multiple outfits to blend in. The horse is the transport over large areas. Yaninator had horseback experience before the 2030 nuclear war aftermath, and as such could adapt. The carriage was purchased, which would double as gear transport and shelter against the elements of the western frontiers. The Native Americans had lived for hundreds of years, adapting to the elements and natural dangers on the frontiers. An inspiration. 1855. Philadelphia had significantly developed, and as such, society had become domesticated, survival enemy. The pioneers crossed large areas of uncharted and unknown land. The risks were very high. The survival knowledge was limited due to domestication. They often lacked enough weapons, bullets, and knowledge of survival in nature. Once on foot, the pioneers had to trust their instincts and capacity to make it across with limited equipment. The pioneers would face unimaginable risks as they slept whilst traveling to the promised land of the West. Not every instance did fire deter predators entering their camp as their guard was down whilst they slept in their camp. Western Frontier, 1855. America lacked the spyware of 21st century America that Yaninator was accustomed to coming of age in post-apocalyptic America. But the isolation is a matter of survival in itself for many pioneers. Some pioneer survivalists would reach the last stages of their journey to California and Oregon trails to succumb to sickness, predator attacks, dehydration, and perilous mountain regions they had never encountered. The lessons that survivalists of the Western frontier trails would take would create a generation of truly tough, determined Americans that would fuse progress and America's incredible creative and industrial development for generations. The tragedy of not knowing how to use a container with stones, like a bottle to run dirty water through, and then boil the water over an open fire to destroy bacteria, left the frontiers with graves of unmet lives in the heat of the Trail of Endurance. With no formal maps of the region, Yaninator would still have better knowledge of the trail than some of the pioneers on the trail. Her knowledge of water, shelter, fire, and having a bow and six-shooter will go a long way. Yaninator would try and use the high ground with the use of her carriage. As she is a lone pioneer with no added family members, she has more freedom. Yaninator took multiple water filter cartridges with her from 2035 sun cream and would often stay covered. She knows about using a bottle with the base removed to put various size stones in to pour water through to boil. Yaninator utilizes welding torches, spare wood pieces for carriage repairs anticipated over the long journey to Montana. She also bought with her 2 spare wheels to aid the journey. She uses a 2030s welding hammer to generate heat and shape metal objects. Cougar had coached Yaninator in various welding and electronic skill areas, essential for survival. As the area is largely uncharted by colonists, and as such, she develops maps for a blueprint of the area she is traversing for future homesteads and back-and-forth travel. The use of a bow to hunt coyotes and deer was invaluable. Once dispatched, Yaninator using her knife would cut out intestines, heart, and lungs, and then the animal would be roasted over a fire. Yaninator is reaching the end of her journey with knowledge of navigation and distance of Montana from Philadelphia, and some key landmarks she knows she has traversed. Last hurdle, a mountain range to climb. Yaninator builds a rope with vines and other plants by harvesting, drying, and twisting to form rope. Yaninator scales the mountain using improvised rope and metal pegs, and hammer and anchors, with high risks. She has made it to the open plains of Montana to start a homestead. The journey to Montana, complete for all 2,035 survivalists of the War of the Machines.